Scottie Pippen was on a podcast here, and it's called Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast by Stacey King, former Bulls, and he's an analyst for the Chicago Bulls. And here's Scottie Pippen talking about Michael Jordan.
I don't believe that there's a great player because our game is a team game, and one player can't do it. Like, I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He's a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. And all of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was.
Okay, I know what he's saying, and he probably believes this. I'm guessing he believes this. But he was a one-on-one player, and I'm sure that he was taking bad shots. But I don't think you could say he was a horrible player. He might have been horrible to play with because he was a gunner. And if you say, all right, Mike didn't understand a winning style, which is interesting because he came from Carolina where it was all about being a team. But, you know, he was putting up, 37 points a game. And he had to because those Bulls teams weren't very good. And he got him, past the Cleveland Cavaliers, played the Celtics, lost. But I think when you say somebody's horrible, I've seen horrible basketball. Michael has played bad basketball, but horrible, that's where it goes. I mean, it just feels so personal with Scottie. I mean, Scottie missed out. He did. Certainly financially. I don't think any player failed to capitalize more than Scottie Pippen did on his greatness and the contract he signed when he went, to the Houston Rockets. The documentary did not help out. Michael did not compliment Scottie. Even said that, that was one of the worst contracts ever signed. We don't say it's Jordan and Pippen's Bulls. It's Michael's Bulls, Jordan's Bulls. And it's rare. Can you think of other top 50 players who played on teams, championship teams, where we don't include a couple players as it was that guy's team? I mean, Klay Thompson gets more credit for Golden State than Scottie Pippen does for the Bulls. But I understand what Scottie's saying. He just doesn't go about it correctly. And he needs somebody to help. He needs somebody to say, I know what you want to say. How about we say this? But he got the attention maybe he wanted. But, go back to what he said when we had him on and he called Phil Jackson a racist. I don't think those relationships are repairable with Jordan. And I don't know if they care, but Scottie said that his coach was a racist. Yeah, Paul.
And you know what's really doing for Scottie Pippen? It's making people ignore the fact that he was a great all-around player. He was not Michael Jordan. He's not Kevin Durant. But he was a great all-purpose player and very, very necessary to the Bulls' run of 6 wins. Extremely necessary. But he's actually getting the opposite reaction, especially locally in Chicago, where he's not a beloved figure, not a beloved athlete.
And then you got Michael Jordan's son, who's dating Scottie's ex-wife. And, I mean, there's a lot that's wrapped up here. And I think Scottie, nearly took him to the finals that year. I think after Mike left, they got to the Eastern Conference. I think there was that Hugh Hollins bad call, or they would have been playing for a championship without Michael Jordan. Yes, Todd.
I know it's a juicy soundbite and you don't owe Pippen anything, but in that situation, do you have some kind of follow-up question so he has a chance to clarify after just calling him a horrible player? And Scottie, you mean like in a team setting he wasn't good, or just to give him that chance to clean that up a little bit?
Oh, I don't know what Stacey King asked, but that stands out there on its own. Like if you're calling him a horrible player, you then have to go, let me throw him a life preserver here. Scottie, you mean this? Yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Scottie is in a position where no matter what he says, even if it's accurate, even if it's right, it just comes off as petty.
But he could have said that in a way that, when you talk about Michael Jordan, gosh, when I first played with him, it was tough, He wasn't fun to play with. He was a gunner. But then we got a good team around him, and, Michael became the greatest player of all time. You can still say what you want to say. It feels like he wants to bring Michael Jordan down. That, hey, he's not what you think he is, and he was not a good teammate. He was a gunner. Okay, I get all that. Michael wasn't a great teammate. Michael was just a great player. And everybody else was kind of holding on. They were on the bandwagon with him. But Scottie just never going to get the credit that he probably deserves. And he played a role that's difficult to play. You got to be the secondary guy every night. You're not sure exactly what you have to do, but he would do it. I remember when he picked up Mark Jackson full court, and it changed the series. He was like, whatever you want me to do. He would play defense. He was tough, not afraid of taking shots. Although when he checked himself out because Kukoc was going to get the play drawn up for him, which he did hit the shot, and he sat down and pouted. So Scottie brought a lot of this on himself, and it's unfortunate because it's just petty jealousy that's not going to go away. Yeah, Paul.
You look at a guy like Klay Thompson. He's not a household name, but he's not Steph Curry as far as like where kids and everyone knows about him. But he seems very happy with his role there. Nothing but winning and getting paid. And I think that money has a lot to do with it because Scottie got shut out with his bad contract.
Yeah, see.
And then not only that, but Scottie got shut out with his bad contract. Although I think he still ended up making like decent money eventually. But Jordan went on to get $400 million a year just in royalties for his brand, which I would bet somewhere in Scottie's mind he thinks that he plays a role in the success of the Jordan brand. That brand doesn't take off without those rings.
Pippen also said that Michael Jordan's scoring priority wasn't in the documentary. Scottie also congratulated himself from humble beginnings to 6 championships, 2 gold medals, Hall of Fame, and leading the Bulls franchise with the most playoff wins. Here's to unsung heroes. Cheers. Pippen wrote. Yeah, Todd.
Isn't it just kind of sad that he feels he has to do that and put a tweet out like that and just kind of wave his own flag like that? I don't know. Just very uncomfortable with that.
It is sad. I mean, it's obvious. It is sad. You would think at that age, your place in history cemented, but then he just keeps asking for a little bit of credit, like a little more credit. And then Michael didn't give him credit when he could have. It was a 10-part series. Couldn't you have at least one part where you say, I'm going to compliment a couple of people here? That would have been nice.
Instead, he's like, you're welcome.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, Mark.
Wait, Michael Jordan, he showed Scottie some love in his Hall of Fame speech. He did say, hey, when you saw me, you saw Scottie Pippen. Now, about the rest of you, bleepity bleeps, I'm about to roast all of you for about 20 minutes. Ooh, that was a roast right there. That Hall of Fame speech was, sorry.
But if Michael wanted to compliment Scottie, he could have in that documentary.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He could have. And Scottie was great. He was. He was a great player. And had he had his own team, he might have been a 25-point scorer every night. Back when 25 was really 25. Yeah, Paul.
But if Scottie Pippen were drafted by another organization, he might be forgettable right now.
Well, he was drafted by another organization.
Yeah, and he didn't get traded to the Bulls. If he would have played his whole career for, let's say he went to the Milwaukee Bucks when they weren't good, and it was just, he was the new star for the Bucks, and he averaged 23 a game for 8 years and never advanced in the playoffs, what would we be talking about with him? Nothing.
Yeah, and I think people lose sight of that we can remember you for certain things, but it's almost Andre Iguodala stands out far more because he was on the Golden State team, and he won. Was he a great player? No, but you were part of a great team. That's why Draymond Green's going to the Hall of Fame. He was part of a great team, organization. If he played on his own in Atlanta, he'd be just another guy. He'd be, throw out a name. Yeah, Marv.
Joe Johnson?
No, because he wouldn't be as good a scorer. But I mean,
he'd be Josh Smith. He'd be Josh Smith.
Yeah, but he would be largely forgotten. You play on the big stage. You play in moments like this. This is when people remember you.